the economy as it was already choking, but it would have been worse, and they were going to raise your taxes. That's what they want to do now if they ever got control, which I don't think they'll have control for a long time. So with that being said, we'll take some questions, and yes, please. John, go ahead. We have plenty of time.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Of course, what you're looking forward to tomorrow is the hearings with Judge Kavanaugh before the Judiciary Committee.
Yes.
In 1991, when Joe Biden passed along to the Bush 41 White House the allegations that Anita Hill had raised against Clarence Thomas, the Bush White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation, not a criminal investigation, but the background investigation. When these allegations were raised, why didn't this White House do the same thing? Is the hearings with Judge Kavanaugh before the Judiciary Committee. In 1991, when Joe Biden passed along to the Bush 41 White House the allegations that Anita Hill had raised against Clarence Thomas, the Bush White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation, not a criminal.
They know him very well. But here there was nothing to investigate from at least one standpoint. They didn't know the location, they didn't know the time, they didn't know the year.
Why didn't this White House do the same thing? Is the hearings with Judge Kavanaugh before the Judiciary Committee. In 1991, when Joe Biden passed along to the Bush 41 White House the allegations that Anita Hill had raised against Clarence Thomas, the Bush White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation, not a criminal.
They know him very well. But here there was nothing to investigate from at least one standpoint. They didn't know the location, they didn't know the time, they didn't know the year.
Why didn't this White House do the same thing? Is the hearings with Judge Kavanaugh before the Judiciary Committee. In 1991, when Joe Biden passed along to the Bush 41 White House the allegations that Anita Hill had raised against Clarence Thomas, the Bush White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation, not a criminal.
They know him very well. But here there was nothing to investigate from at least one standpoint. They didn't know the location, they didn't know the time, they didn't know the year.
Why didn't this White House do the same thing? Is the hearings with Judge Kavanaugh before the Judiciary Committee. In 1991, when Joe Biden passed along to the Bush 41 White House the allegations that Anita Hill had raised against Clarence Thomas, the Bush White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation, not a criminal.
They know him very. You probably won't get any, John. Yes, go ahead. Investigate.
Mr. President, there are now 3 women accusing Judge Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct. Are you saying that all 3 of them
White House asked the FBI to look into it as part of Judge Thomas's background investigation, not a criminal.
They know him very. I won't get into that game. I only tell you this. This is one of the highest quality people that I've ever met. And everybody that knows him says the same thing. And these are all false to me. These are false accusations in certain cases, and certain cases, even the media agrees with that. I can only say that what they've done to this man is incredible. You know, it's very interesting. I pick a lot of judges. I have 145 judges I will be picking by the end of a fairly short period of time, because President Obama wasn't big on picking judges. When I got there, I said, how is this possible? I have 145, including Court of Appeals judges. And they just didn't do it. You know why? They got tired. They got complacent. Something happened. I have 145 judges. Everybody wants to be a federal judge, not just a Supreme Court judge. I'm talking about Court of Appeals. I'm talking about district court. I don't think they're going to want to so much. I'll be calling people, and we'll have people calling people that do this. And people are going to be scared, because we could say it about you. 35 years ago, you met, and you might not know what's going on. What is going on? Why did they wait so long? Why did Senator Feinstein wait till the hearings were over and make this case? Why didn't she bring it right at the beginning when you ask about, as an example, the FBI? Why didn't they bring this right at the beginning, during the hearing? you would have had all the time in the world for the FBI. It would have been fine. Now, the FBI, as you know, did investigate this time, as they have 5 or 6 other times, and they did a very thorough investigation. But this is a big con job, and I would love to be in the room with the Democrats, close the door, you guys are all away outside waiting, and Schumer and his buddies are all in there laughing how they fooled you all. Let's just stop them. A big, fat con. Yeah, go ahead.
But, Mr. President, if I could follow up, you have daughters. Can you understand why a victim of sexual assault would not report it at the time? Don't you understand?
By the way, I only say this. 36 years, no charge, no nothing.
But that happens often. I mean,
people are going to have to make a decision. 36 years, there's no charge. All of a sudden, the hearings are over, and the rumors start coming out. And then you have this other con artist, Avenatti, come out with another beauty today. I always say that you have to look at the facts. The senators are very capable people. They're very good people. I know many of them. They're friends of mine. These are very talented, very good people. And they're going to vote. They're going to have to believe what they believe. When I look at what's happened to the reputation of a great gentleman, a great intellect, a brilliant man, somebody that has a chance to be one of our great Supreme Court justices in history, intellectually, I think it's a shame.
शायरों से लफ्ज लेके थोड़े से उधार बोलना ये चाहता हूँ दिल से तुमको यार हो रहा था हो गया है हल्का सा खुमार कोई ना रहा है दिल पे अपने जोर love me थोड़ा
neither do Cuban people based in Miami and based in our country that came from Cuba and suffered in Cuba. I don't like what he did. I've ended much of it, most of it. I don't like what's happening in Cuba, and I certainly don't like what's happening in Venezuela. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President, just to finish really fast, you said also that you had a call to action to ask the leaders around the world to also end socialism. Would you like to be recognized as
Well, I wouldn't say that socialism has been working really well around the world. Okay, you can take a look at Venezuela as your number one. Your number one, I guess the one that's most obvious, but you take a look around the world, socialism is not exactly riding high. Please.
मुस्कुराता सा नींदों से ख्वाबों से मिलता हूँ मैं तो रात में ये अदा है नहीं ये अदा नहीं तू जो मिला कभी ना किया था खुद पे इतना गौर love me थोड़ा
Wouldn't make any difference to me. Republican candidate, and I would rather had a Republican candidate. I was very happy with Stephen Strange. He was a terrific man.
जितना मैं उतनी ही मिलने की वजह है बढ़ी मिलने की कोशिशें प्यार की ख्वाहिशें होती रहे तुझे देख के सांसें करती शोर love me थोड़ा
I could pick as an example what they wanted to do as a replacement. Hopefully this is going to go very well on Thursday. will be tomorrow, I assume. We've delayed this, meaning the Republican senators, not me. The Republican senators have delayed this for weeks now. They're giving the women a major chance to speak. Now, it's possible I'll hear that and I'll say, hey, I'm changing my mind. That is possible. We want to give them a chance to speak. And they're given it. Well, whoever is given a chance, we've delayed it a long time. But they're going to have a big shot at speaking and making their case. And you know what? I can be persuaded also. Okay? Yes, please. Let's go ahead. Go ahead. I'd like to go. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. And a couple of questions for you to follow up on some answers that I didn't quite hear from you.
Have they been what?
Are they liars?
I can't tell you. I have to watch tomorrow. I have to read. I just heard about one of the I can tell you her lawyer is a lowlife, okay? So I can't tell you whether or not they're lies until I hear them. I don't know what happened today because I've been very busy with Japan, with South Korea, with China, and about 7 other countries. And I chaired the security. So I don't know about today's person that came forward. I do know about the lawyer, and you don't get much their reputation. Take a look at the past. So as far as the other women, I'm going to be watching. You know, I'm going to see. It's possible that it will be convincing. Now, with all of that being said, he's been on, I guess you'd call it the second highest award. And every single person knows him. A lot of people know him well. And those people don't believe what's going on. I can always be convinced. I have to hear it.
It sounds like what you're saying is there is a situation, there is a scenario under which you would withdraw Brett Kavanaugh's nomination. Is that correct?
If I thought he was guilty of something like this, sure.
And you will wait until tomorrow to make up your mind?
I want to watch. I want to see. I hope I can watch. I'm meeting with a lot of countries tomorrow, but I will certainly in some form be able to watch. And I'll also rely on some very fair and talented Republican senators who, look, if we brought George Washington here and we said we have George Washington, the Democrats would vote against him, just so you understand. And he may have had a bad past. Who knows? You know, he may have had some.
रहूं क्यों आज मैं तू मेरी बाहों में सिमटी है मुझ में समाई है जिस तरह कि कोई हो नदी तू मेरे सीने में छुपती है साथ तुम्हारा मैं हूँ तेरे आगे की कोयले से हीरा बनके ख्वाबों से आगे चल के है तुझे बताना
From the Democrats. You know why? Because we all like to just go politics. Then you'll probably get some votes. Okay, let's go. One more question. Yes. She stands up. I'd like to ask about 3 questions. It's not really fair to everyone else. Should I let her ask another question? Go ahead.
They're all benefit. Why is that?
It's not a benefit. I've known them. I've known them for a long time. There are charges that are pretty weak, but I've known people for a long time. I never saw them do anything wrong. I never saw them do anything wrong. And there are some that probably I agree. I can tell you there are some that I've been watching for a long time. And in a couple of cases they were Republicans. In a lot of cases they were exactly the opposite. But I've been watching for a long time. And I knew for a long time this was not good people. Okay,
first surfaced, you initially said how important it was for Dr. Ford to testify and that you wanted to hear from her.
I do.
But
I wish it could have gone quicker.
Well, you also said that if what she said were as bad as she claims, surely her or her parents would have reported it. And just today you said you would.
Well, there is a truth. I mean, there is a chance that her parents could have reported it 36 years ago.
So my question is...
It doesn't mean they had to report it, because in some instances people keep it quiet. It's a very tough situation for a woman. There's no question about it. And in some cases they do report it. Frankly, had they reported it, it would have been pretty amazing, wouldn't it? But I guess they didn't, and that's okay. I'm not saying they had to report it, because it's a very personal thing. It's a very big problem. There's no question about it. Go ahead.
Do you want to hear her story before?
I'd like to hear her story, yeah. Well, we're giving her time.
Have you already made up your mind?
They would have given her time last week. This is the United States Senate. This is the most important position that a president can give out, I think we can say by far. I've actually heard it's the most important decision a president can make. I disagree with that. War and peace. I always say war and peace. And after that, Supreme Court justice, right? I look forward to hearing from her. We could have heard from her last week. We could have heard from her for a long time. It'll be interesting to hear what she has to say. Okay.
Let me follow up on Jim's question. Mr. President, let me follow up on Jim's question that I don't think we got an answer to.
Which one? Which question?
How have your personal experiences being accused by more than a dozen
I've been accused.
women of
I've been
sexual
accused.
misconduct?
False accusations.
Right.
Excuse me.
How have those...
I've been accused. And I was accused by, I believe it was 4 women. You can check with Sean Hannity. You can check with Fox, because they covered it very strongly. Who got paid? Excuse me. I was accused by 4 or 5 women who got paid a lot of money to make up stories about me. We caught them, and the mainstream media refused to put it on television. They refused to even write about it. There were 4 women, and maybe more. I think the number is 4 or 5. But one had a mortgage paid off her house, $52,000. Another one had other things happen. And the one that reported it, I believe, was offered $750,000 to say bad things about me. And she is the one that reported it. This woman is incredible. She reported it instead of taking the money. So I've had numerous accusations about me.
Right.
They made false statements about me, knowing they were false. I never met them. I never met these people. And what did they do? What did they do? They took money in order to say bad things. I've had stories written in the New York Times front page about 4 women, the whole top center front page of the New York Times. I think it was 4 big pictures. I said, wow, that's a big thing. What's that? These were women that were quoted saying bad things about me. Not the worst things about me, but bad things. And I said, gee, that's too bad. I knew them a long time ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I said, that's too bad. I'm surprised at them. And then all of a sudden I see them on television, nothing to do with me. The next day or day later, they were incensed. They said, Donald Trump is a nice guy. We never said this. The New York Times did false reporting. They're fake news. And you know what? The New York Times would not report that their story was fake. These women said great things. Not only did they not say the bad stuff, they said great things about me. Front page. And those women, they're incredible women. They went on television, and they didn't want to, and I didn't ask them. And they said the New York Times made it up. They gave false quotes. And they went on a lot of shows. They were really incensed, and they couldn't believe it. That's why people know that a lot of the news is fake, and a lot of the people sitting here are fake. But 20% of them are wonderful, okay?
If I could just actually ask my question, Mr. Trump. You didn't let me ask my question.
You've been asking a question for 10 minutes. So please sit down. Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
How did those impact your opinions on the allegations against
Well, it does impact my opinion. You know why? Because I've had a lot of false charges made. It's me. I'm a very famous person, unfortunately. I've been a famous person for a long time. But I've had a lot of false charges made against me, really false charges. I know friends that have had false charges. People want fame, they want money, they want whatever. So when I see it, I view it differently than somebody sitting home watching television where they say, oh, Judge Kavanaugh, this or that. It's happened to me many times. I've had many false charges. I had a woman sitting in an airplane, and I attacked her while people were coming onto the plane, and I have a #1 bestseller out. I mean, it was a total phony story. There are many of them. So when you say, does it affect me in terms of my thinking with respect to Judge Kavanaugh? Absolutely, because I've had it many times. And if the news would have reported these 4 people, I couldn't believe it. When I heard that they caught these 4 people, I said, wow, that's a big story. And it was for Fox. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today and just now, you made a significant allegation against the Chinese government. You suggested that the Chinese had meddled in or are meddling
That's right.
in
That's what I hear.
Midterm election.
That's what I hear.
What evidence do you have of that, sir? Is there a national intelligence estimate?
We have evidence. It'll come out. Yeah, I can't tell you now, but it didn't come out of nowhere that I can tell you. Now, they've actually admitted that they're going after farmers. I mean, I think most of you can cover that. I like that you're shaking your head. Yes, I'm going to ask you the next question because of that, okay? It's probably going to be the killer of all questions. But let me just explain.
Now if you're not prepared to come forward with the evidence, sir?
China now, we put on $250 billion, and they're paying 25% on that. They're paying billions and billions. This has never happened to China. And I like China, and I like President Xi a lot. I think he's a friend of mine. He may not be a friend of mine anymore, but I think he probably respects. From what I hear, if you look at Mr. Pillsbury, the leading authority on China, he was on a good show. I won't mention the name of the show. Recently, and he was saying that China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. He said, Donald Trump, they don't know what to do. Never happened. Well, one thing they are trying to do is they're trying to convince people to go against Donald Trump because a normal, regular political person that has no concept of what the hell he's doing would let China continue to take $500 billion a year out of our country and rebuild their country. I mean, they were building 29 massive bridges, like the George Washington Bridge. They're building things that we don't build anymore. But we're starting to build them again. And our economy now is hotter than it's ever been. I don't know if you saw the confidence. And those are the people, frankly, that deserve to, they did a great job. The people that did it right, the people that did the best job got hurt the most. So in one sense, I like it, but basically, I'm a low interest rate person, I hate to tell you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President, yes. You have another meeting tomorrow with Rod Rosenstein.
Yes.
Are you planning to fire Rod Rosenstein?
I'm talking to him. We've had a good talk. He said he never said it. He said he doesn't believe it. He said he has a lot of respect for me. And he was very nice, and we'll see. And he's a member of the Trump administration in that sense. It's the Justice Department. I would certainly prefer not doing that. There was no collusion. There was no obstruction. I mean, unless you call obstruction the fact that I fight back, I do fight back. I really fight back. I mean, if you call that obstruction, that's fine. But there's no obstruction. There's no collusion. I'm going to meet with him tomorrow. I may call Rod tonight or tomorrow and ask for a little bit of a delay to the meeting because I don't want to do anything that gets in the way of this very important Supreme Court pick. So I don't want it competing and hurting the decision, one way or the other decision. Again, I want to hear what she has to say, but I don't want to do. So I may delay that. I'm going to see. I don't want to do anything that's...
I'm Jeff Glor, reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York. Good morning.